Alright, what's going on guys? It's Almond. Welcome back to another Wizard101 video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at some of the spell changes that are going to be coming in live realm, but they're currently active in test realm, so we're going to be looking at them, giving you guys my opinions on them. I definitely want to see more spells like this just randomly get updated, because it's nice, right? Just to see some things just be changed in the game, whether it be good or bad depending on how you look at it. But most of these changes, I'm gonna be honest, that I'm gonna be showing you are kind of just for PvP. Some of these do affect advanced combat though, so we will talk about them when it comes to advanced combat scenarios, whether it be raids, rematch, or challenge mode, right? Because challenge mode is going to be a big thing moving forward, because we are expecting a challenge mode somewhere in Waldaru, and depending like how that affects it, people are going to farm it, and who knows, you might need a life for heals, or just even someone else that's dual scolding that has outgoing that might need to do heals. It will affect that fight. This affects literally some of my rematch videos, and I have to go back and tweak them, so that's why I want to talk about this stuff, because it's kind of important, at least to me. So let's talk about the changes. I do have the original spells on my other monitor, so I will bring those up to you guys when we're talking about specific ones. But let's talk about Berry Surprise first, right? Berry Surprise was changed. Now the original Berry Surprise looked like this, right? At least the one that's on live realm currently. It would do a 320 damage and it would heal you with the hot. Now this spell has been like tweaked multiple times. There's been so many different variations of Berry Surprise. It's honestly wild how this spell got tweaked so many times. The top path was the more damage path, and it got less of a hot. So the hot remained the same, which is 450, right? But the damage got increased. And the bottom path was less damage, which it stayed the same, but the hot increased, which was more like utility wise for PvP players. There wasn't any instance at the moment where I've been like, hey, you should probably use this in advanced combat. But yeah, so Berry Surprise did get changed. Now they changed it so the base spell does 660, or it can do an 895 heal. Now my concern is like, it's the aura feature again. Now this gives me vibes when they changed the insane bolt, when it has like a certain percentage of doing a hit on yourself, or it has a certain percentage of doing it on the enemy, right? Insane bolt, wild bolt, or not wild bolt, just mainly insane bolt, how it got tweaked. Now I do miss the OG insane bolt, where like you can do like moon damage to your player, or you can do damage to yourself. It was a high risk high reward type thing. But this, I think, is gonna not want to make players use the spell, I guess, in my opinion, right? It's still gonna be there, right? Don't get me wrong, but like, let's say you want to use a damage portion of this. Now you're playing odds, right? What are the odds of you hitting the enemy, and what are the odds of it healing you, right? Depending on your scenario. When it comes to regular PvE, this doesn't matter. Like, I'm gonna be honest, you're just doing Blade AoE in regular PvE combat. You're going to be using Dragoon hits. You're going to use the Waldaru AoEs. There's only certain matchups where you use single targets. And there isn't like a fight where I'm like, hey, you need Berry Surprise in this fight, or it's very useful. So this top path, I mean, it's just going to be there, right? I did prefer the and portion where it does damage and it heals you, me personally, right? Because in a way it was like Link, right? Link does a dot and it does a hot. This does the damage and gives you a hot, but it was changed, and now it's going to do damage or it's going to heal you. So take that as like what you like, if you like this or not. The bottom path in itself did not get changed. I don't know if that's intentional, right? Because this whole idea was supposed to be for players that like, hey, you know, from PvP, like the healing stuff, because players were just like non-stop using heals in PvP, and they surprisingly did not touch the bottom path. I don't know if that's intentional. We'll just have to wait and see, because like I said, it is test realm. You guys can see in the top right, it is test realm build, so give it time. Maybe this bottom path does get changed, maybe better or for the worse, but it's mainly a PvP audit, and the top path is not for PvP anyways, or advanced combat, but the bottom path remain the same. I have no clue. Time will tell, I guess. But here's the Berry Surprise change that did happen. Another spell that got changed was Dark and Stormy. If we look at the original Dark and Stormy, they did change the bottom path. The top path, from what it seems like, remains exactly the same. They didn't tweak it because, you know, it's PvP marked. You can't really use it anyways. But the bottom path originally, they did change how shads work, of course. I mean, so a lot of players know that 2-pip shads are a thing now. But let's just talk about the actual spell. So the original spell for bottom path, it did 1.1k, and then it did a 1k protected overtime heal, which is wild in its sense. And now it got reduced. So now if you look at the comparison, it's 835 for 5 rounds, while the original one was 1075 for 5 rounds. So healing did get a little bit of nerfed. I know some players are already complaining about Storm. I saw Liam already complain about Storm, but I mean, time will tell how Storm's gonna go. We'll just have to wait and see. But Dark and Storm, yes, it's mainly the healing that got nerfed. The damage is remaining the same. PvE players that use this in like regular combat, you're chilling and your spells aren't getting changed. But PvP players and advanced combat users, that does affect you. And there hasn't been a time where I'm like 2-pip shads are viable right now in advanced combat. So this doesn't affect raids, this doesn't affect rematches in any sort of way, so keep that in mind. Now Goat Monk, right? Goat Monk did get changed, and if we look at the original Goat Monk top path, it's the damage path, and bottom path is the healing path. Neither is marked for PvP or like no PvP, so you can use both of these in PvE or PvP. Now the bottom path was really good, even for PvE players, right? If while you're just questing, this just like saved lives for people who do solo questing or whatever, because you're doing damage and you're getting a heal. And I've seen a lot of life players use this while questing. I'm not gonna say every life player, of course, not every life player does this, but for the most life players I've seen, at least on streams, they have been using Goat Monk, and it's just been really useful for solo questing, and I'm not gonna like lie about that. But obviously play how you want to play, but for most players I've seen that. Now it does a 665 round heal. The nerf is 435. The damage remained on all these paths, but the bottom portion for Goat Monk for the heal got nerfed. Now I don't know how I feel about this change, right? Just because, you know, like for solo players, right? Now it's not like it's still pretty drastic, if I have to say so myself, but there is stat caps in advanced combat, so you know you are getting lower outgoing depending on your setup. But for PvE players, you can still have outgoing setups and incoming setups, because the incoming stat isn't disabled in PvE. So if you have like incoming on your gear, I think the spell is still fine. It is still slightly nerfed. You are losing some healing from your hot, so just keep that in mind when you are using this in regular PvE. Advanced combat, you know, and PvP players, yeah, your life school is getting a lot of tweaks in this patch. It's wild. Well, life school is getting like shredded. Well, I mean, it's based upon the the community, and like a lot of players are saying life does need to get a nerf for the heals, so that's why they went this direction. Another spell that did get changed was Hungry Caterpillar. Now I don't have an image, but luckily people in my chat were able to get me an image due to the fact that I wasn't able to get it on stream. But this is what it looks like in our on test room, right? Now the shad still is remaining the same from what people were telling me, because I don't have access to the spell live at the moment, because my account is still banned till I think today. I think I should get unbanned today, but I wanted to make this video quickly because I am kind of behind on vids. So originally on live, the spell was remaining the same when you got it to the tier 2, but it was just a 2-pip shad. So it's still the 2-pip shad, it's just they nerfed the hot. So even though this is a shad spell, they are nerfing the hot, so it's drastically going down by 320 or 330, I mean. So life players are getting a nerf when it comes to PvP, when it comes to this spell. In advanced combat, raids, etc., rematches, you're not using this. Don't even trip. Don't even worry about it. At least at the moment, till we get to higher rank rematches, like in a couple of years down the line, then we'll talk about it. Another spell that got changed, Pigsy. Oh no. Pigsy has been going through like so many ups and downs. Like, I feel bad for Pigsy. I have made like so many videos on this too, of like, oh, it's getting nerfed, oh, it's getting buffed, oh, it's getting nerfed. Well, guys, it's getting nerfed again. So top path, if you guys use the top path in regular PvP, or I mean regular PvE, sorry, and you do like skeleton key bosses, whatever, or questing, you guys are chilling. Nothing's being changed. Yes, it is a school pip, but getting arch mastery on like a low level is not an issue. Just go get the jewel from Wizard City and you should be fine. But bottom path players, advanced combat, PvP, rematches, literally anything that's considered that, we are getting a nerf. Now, the original spell, or at least what it is in live room right now, it did a 625 heal, and then on top of that, it would do a 320 hot. Now, this was so good in advanced combat. It was, and then there was issues with this in PvP as well, because since Satyr got banned, people were resorting to Pixies, and that became its own issue. So indirectly, PvE players are getting nerfed as well. So I mean, I don't mind it, but there is another issue where like players are just like using this in advanced combat, not in raids per se. I mean, well, even in raids we were using this in the Dragonspire raid if you are like a life support for the storm hitter. And in advanced combat too, when it comes to like challenge mode and rematches, there were times where we would use a Darkmoor deck and just fill up our deck and just pull for Pixies, because it just made the fight easier. So now that has changed. So it went from a 625 heal and a 320 high on everybody to now a 125 heal and a 848 hot. So the premise with this is because they also want to, change PvP players and, limit the copies. You are limited to 4 in your deck. You cannot have more in your deck. So keep that in mind. So the power of the Darkmoor deck is not powerful anymore when it comes to advanced combat. So you can't just be using like a 50 card deck, because if you guys don't know how it works, is the more cards you have in your deck, the higher your arch mastery rating is, so, or your efficiency. So in PvE, this doesn't matter. I can have 1 card in here and I'll be at 100%. But in PvP and in advanced combat, the percentage or the efficiency scales up depending on how many cards you have. So for example, what I would tend to do in my videos, let me see if I have a deck. What I would do whenever I say like, hey, the power of the Darkmoor deck, because Darkmoor deck lets you have 10 copies, or like not 10 copies, it lets you have like some dummy amount of copies for your school. So what I would purposely do is, now let's imagine Fire Prisms are Pigsy, right? And let's just say I have random cards in my deck because I'm trying to pull that Pigsy, right? And let's just say I'm filling up my deck, right? Now this is half of my deck full. Now the only thing I want to pull is my Pigsy, right? And depending if probability is in my favor, I can pull Pigsy within the 1 or 2 rounds, the first round or the second round, and my efficiency is at 50%. So like by round 2, and depending on how like your arch mastery is, like with your friends and everything like that, if you have the highest arch mastery rating, I should be getting this by round 2, and I should have a Pigsy, and I'm ready to heal right off the rip. That was the power of the Darkmoor deck, and especially with the jewels that are getting revamped and Triangle giving you more arch mastery rating, that was going to be like make up the arch mastery stat, so you can do this in advanced combat. But with this change, this kind of just like limits that idea, and moving forward I will have to redo some of my videos because of that. The heal, don't get me wrong, it's still good, right? You're still getting a 125 and you're getting an 848 protected overtime. Now I can still see this being used in advanced combat to a certain extent, but you got to keep in mind you're limited on copies. The protected overtime does make it for me, but there are certain boss fights that are going to get introduced slowly but surely that just remove protected hots. So keep that in mind for advanced combat. So rematches, because players are going to want to do rematches down the line. Don't know at the moment, because there is a Pendragon rematch right now in Test Realm. There will be a video regarding it. Let's just say I cheesed it already and it's very buggy, but hey, I was able to defeat it, so you should see a video regarding that. But rematches, challenge mode, raids, like that type of stuff, this will affect that to a certain extent. But PvP players, this does affect people who are doing like healing strats and just keep non-stop just going for heals, because you are limited on your copies. And if you do a protected hot, what you can just do is, if if you're on a storm school, or like just having storm counters or any hot counters, you can just literally negate this if you have, like, for example, Triton or other stuff. So we'll have to see regarding that. But Pigsy, big shaft, bro. Now let's go over to the last change, which is regenerate. So regenerate is completely different now. It even got paths. Original regenerate, if you pull up the wiki, if we pull up the spell right here, because I'm using the wiki so I don't have to pull up images. Originally it does 420 with 1.1 overtime, and it's, or not overtime, a hot, and it's for 5 rounds, and it was protected, of course. So 420 with 1.1. Now the top path did get buffed. Oh well, obviously this is the original spell, but now it is PvP marked, keep that in mind too. But top path, they left the hot alone, and the initial heal gets increased. So keep that in mind if you are trying to get the top path spell elements. Now you are going to have to get this, wait for it, from Beast Moon. Yay. So if PvP players want to use regenerate at the moment in live realm, you are going to have to do Beast Moon to get regenerate spell elements, just to get tier 2 and be able to use that. Now I know some players are going to complain about this, whether it be for PvP or PvE. It's tough to like make a decision where it's like, how can I make both players happy? You know. Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see if they ever change it or anything like that, maybe down the line. I have no clue. But the bottom path, it gives you a less of an initial heal and increases the hot value. Now you are limited in advanced combat, so what I was hoping for is if Pigsy got limitations or if it got nerfed, my backup option was literally going to be regenerate. But turns out regenerate has limitations, and you're only allowed 4 copies in your deck, no matter the variation you have. Even if it says 6 copies, you are limited on 4. So there's no way of getting around this. And you cannot, I forgot to mention this with Pigsy, you cannot reshuffle these back in your deck. So what it means X1 is you cannot reshuffle it back in your deck. You are just hard capped at 1 per fight. So you are going to be capped at 4 for regenerate and Pigsy, so you cannot reshuffle those back in your deck, no matter what. So there's that. It's like the same thing with Incendiate. Like if we go to the or like the Dragoon hat as well, or Incendiate, see how it has the X1, so I can't reshuffle this back in my deck in any sort of way. Same thing with Mass Feint, I can't reshuffle this back in my deck in regular PvE. But in advanced combat, like I said, yeah, regenerate, it's good, don't get me wrong, but it's just the limitations. But they have to do this for PvP players because the fact that heal spamming has been getting worse this past couple months from what I've heard from players, and it just forces people not want to play. I think people have just been fleeing matches due to it, which is, I mean, I get, right? If you don't want to waste time on a life matchup because of the fact that they're just going to be healing and usually they're just going to be timering and everything like that. Of course, I can't give you guys like an honest opinion about PvP. We'll venture, you know, that area whenever I have no content to do in PvE, but there's still a lot of content I can cover when it comes to like raids and everything like that. So that's why I haven't touched PvP at all. Maybe one day, like, I'll go back and maybe one day I'll hit Warlord. I don't know. But those are all the changes right now in test room when it comes to spells. I've already done a video regarding the Rainbow Serpent change, so definitely go check that out and my honest opinion on that. And there's some other videos that I will be posting shortly, especially the Pendragon rematch, because you are able to do this now in test realm, and it's a crazy fight. It's literally a mini raid boss in a sense, if I would have to say so myself. But be on the lookout for that video later today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and watched it all the way through. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff. Join the Discord if you guys haven't. We're close, we're so close to 400 members in the Discord. I might do something if we get to 400 members. I'm not too sure yet. I've discussed with some people if we want to do something, but I would appreciate if we get more people in the Discord. If you guys need any help, let me know in the Discord, or just have any questions for me. I do my best to answer everything in the Discord whenever I get the chance, even when people message me. So yeah, there's that. But that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.